Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Alex, your dinner party diva. And today I have the first installment of a really exciting series I'm starting. A couple weeks ago, I put out a poll on my Instagram asking about what questions, comments, concerns you all had about entertaining. And next to planning and timing and all of those things, budget was the biggest question. So I put together $40 dinner for 8, inspired by the hit Food Network show, $40 a Day, hosted by Rachel Ray, where she had $40 to feed herself for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a new city. I'm giving you a $40 grocery list to feed a group of 8 people, appetizers, main courses, and desserts. Before I get into what we're making this week, these are the guidelines that I have come up with. So $40 to feed 8 people, appetizers, main course, and dessert, with a few stretch items to bring the budget up to $50 if you want to spend a little bit more. The only ingredients that I'm going to assume that you have are salt, pepper, and some kind of cooking oil. I know that one of the biggest gripes of like budget recipes and budget entertaining things is that people are only looking at the cost of the amount you use. Like say you buy a bag of flour, but you only used 50 cents worth or $1 worth, and that's how they get to like a $5 meal. That's not what I'm doing. Everything that I'm asking you to buy, the $40 includes the cost to purchase, not just the cost of the amount used. Caveat or note to that, I live in Chicago. These are based on my grocery store prices. They may be more or less depending on where you are looking, different brands, different options. But I'm trying to use these as a guideline to get you thinking about how you can entertain on a budget and still make it feel special and fulfilling. It's not meant to be like the end all be all grocery list. And the last point is that drinks will not be included. You should ask your guests to bring a bottle of wine, to bring something to drink, because we're doing this on a budget. We are splitting the cost of things. So the first meal plan in this series is a very much like Chipotle inspired build your own taco burrito bowl situation, which I am calling We Have Chipotle at Home. Very original. But I was inspired by when I was going through the Jewel Osco weekly sales. I saw that corn was on sale. I saw avocados were on sale, tomatoes were on sale, and that inspired me to go in this direction. So here's the menu. We are serving for appetizers. We are serving homemade guacamole and homemade pico with house fried tortilla chips. Now, this is episode 1 and I'm already asking you to deep fry. I know that might feel like a lot, but making your own tortilla chips when you buy the tortillas already made is so easy and they are so good. And the whole like thing that I'm trying to impart is that like we can make things feel special. So each week there's gonna be something that I ask of you that may take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. And this week, your homemade tortilla chips are that thing. For the main course, we are serving a cilantro lime rice, stewed black beans, sauteed peppers, onions, and zucchini. For a fajita veg vibe, we are making esquites, which is like a corn and sour cream salad that's going to be studded with some roasted peppers, zucchini, onion, lovely like cilantro lime sauce. And we're going to do some charred corn tortillas. For dessert, I am making arroz con leche. I'm going to give it kind of a tropical vibe using a lot of lime zest. And we're going to serve that with macerated blackberries. You can get the full budget breakdown and grocery list as well as each individual recipe on my Substack, which I'm gonna have linked down below. But without further ado, let's look at what I bought. All right, this is everything that I got for $40. Starting on this side, we've got sugar, we've got tomatoes, we've got 2 zucchini, we've got 2 6-ounce clamshells of blackberries. Because blackberries were on sale, this recipe can be made with whatever berries you have on hand or whatever is on sale that week for you. We've got chili powder. We've got 3 bell peppers. We've got milk for the arroz con leche. We've got a 32-ounce bag of rice, which I put in here. We've got a pound of black beans that I have been soaking overnight in water. Soaking them is an optional step, but especially if you're buying cheap grocery store beans that you don't know how long they've been on the shelf, taking the time, even starting them in the morning, will help them cook a lot quicker and a lot more evenly. If you're using dried beans that you've had for a while that are pretty old, they can take forever to cook evenly. We've got sour cream. We have 3 packs of corn tortillas with I think 12 each. Yeah, 12 tortillas in each pack, or half of them will be used for our house fried tortilla chips. The other half will be used for just serving with the main course. We've got a bunch of cilantro, 4 limes, which we're gonna use the juice and zest of, really maximize the flavor. a 2-pound bag of red onions, 4 avocados, and 6 ears of corn. If you want to stretch your budget up to $50, I would suggest going for some chorizo. This will add a lot of flavor to the beans. I'm gonna use one of these links in the beans to impart a lot of flavor. The other part I'm gonna just crisp up to use as a taco topping. Some queso fresco that you can crumble up. Again, serve on the side, mix into your esquites, delish, and then cumin, just to add some more flavor and spices into the mix. Now I wanna start with prepping the 2 things that are gonna take the longest. We're gonna get the beans simmering, and then we're gonna get the arroz con leche. Now, since this series is inspired by Rachel Ray, it's only fitting that I have a garbage bowl. Mine's not quite as pretty as the one on her show was, but it works just the same. Also gonna dice up a bunch of garlic for the beans. Let's go with 6 cloves. I think I talked about this in my last video, I don't remember, but someone told me, or I heard somewhere, that if your garlic, that old garlic is much easier to peel than new garlic, or younger garlic that hasn't been sitting around as long. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, as the garlic sits, the skin starts to dry out. That garlic was fairly easy to peel, so I feel like it had been sitting around for a bit, which is fine. It doesn't really affect, maybe it affects potency a little bit, but I don't really notice it too much. All right, I just give that a really rough chop. It's gonna go in with the onions and cook down with that chorizo. Oh, I forgot to say that the last ingredient that I forgot to include in my run through is canola oil. Because I'm asking you to have a large amount of it to fry your tortillas, I am putting it on the shopping list. If it was just like a few tablespoons to cook with, I would not have included it, but it is like an important component. And the reason why I decided to fry my tortillas is because the price difference was significant. Between the cost to buy 2 or 3 bags of tortilla chips was significantly more than the cost to purchase the oil and the corn tortillas. And that's kind of how I decide what I want to make at home versus what I want to buy. Is the cost significant, or is the cost difference significant, or is the flavor difference significant? In this case, both of those things are true, so we're frying our own homemade tortilla chips. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I wasn't requiring or asking you to provide your own fry oil. Gonna go in with just a little bit of oil. That chorizo is so fatty, I don't want to use a whole lot. I'm really trying to break up the chorizo so that it infuses like every bite. And you can see like all of the spices that have leached out into the oil. That's all flavor, baby. All right, I'm gonna go in with our aromatics. Bit of salt. And we're gonna let this cook down until the onions start to look translucent and the garlic might be starting to like brown around the edges, just a couple minutes. All right, I'm gonna go in with about a tablespoon of cumin, which is optional as we've discussed, and about a tablespoon of chili powder. The great thing about chili powder is that it is so many spices all mixed together. If it's the only thing that you have, it still gives you a lot of depth and a lot of flavor than like an individual spice would. I think spice blends are a really cost-effective way to inject a lot of flavor. And maybe they're not quite as like robust as using all of those spices individually, but it's still like, it's still great. While I wait for the beans to come to a boil, I am going to zest 2 of my lemons, or 2 of my limes. This is gonna go in with the rice pudding, which is the next thing we're getting started, just to impart more flavor, give it kind of like a tropical vibe. It'll be delish. And this is a cup of our sugar, which I'm going to massage that lime zest into. This pulls out a lot of the oils in the lime zest and like multiplies the flavor. You rub it between your hands. Oh, it smells so good. Oh my God. All right, once it looks like wet sand and starts to take on a greenish tint, you're good. The beans are simmering. I'm gonna start checking on them in about 45 minutes. It's probably gonna take between an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how old the beans are. Longer if you did not soak them, but those are just gonna chill. I'm gonna get started on the rice pudding. I'm gonna get started on the arroz con leche. This is 2 cups of washed rice. I'm gonna cover it with just enough milk to cover, about 2 cups, let's say, and get that over medium-low heat. Oop. And just a pinch of salt, just for good measure. This is gonna cook like risotto, where you're going to be stirring it almost constantly. It's gonna release a lot of starch. It's gonna get really, really creamy. And then we'll go in with the sugar at the very end. If you are able to make the beans the night before, not only will it make your party prep go so much smoother, but they taste so much better the next day after they've had time to like really acclimate and all the flavors have really come together. I love rice pudding and I don't make it nearly enough. I remember this restaurant we would go to as a kid. It was a Greek restaurant in Port Charlotte, Florida. I think it was called the Olympian. And every entree came with either Jello, rice pudding, or tapioca pudding. And I always got the tapioca pudding because I love tapioca. My parents usually got the rice pudding. It was served cold in a cute little glass dish with the tiniest bit of whipped cream on top and some cinnamon. It was so good. So yeah, I'm excited to be making this for the menu. While the rice finishes up, I'm gonna start prepping the rest of my ingredients. All right, I've got my corn, which I've husked, and I'm just gonna cut it right off the cob. I'm gonna save these cobs in the freezer and use them to impart a lot of great flavor into a stock in the not so distant future. I would have cut the corn off the cob and then let the cob sit, bring the milk to just below a simmer, and let the cobs just sit in there for like 20, 30 minutes, and then make my rice pudding. Damn, I wish I had thought about that sooner. That would have been so good. Guess I'm just gonna have to make it again sometime. Oh my God. Actually, that's kind of wild. That arroz con leche tastes just like Fruit Loops. That's so good. Oh wow. I'm gonna turn that off. The rice is just about cooked. It's a very rainy day, so I apologize if the lighting turns to shit. All right, this bowl is too small for the corn. All right. Let's continue chopping up our produce. I got a red and orange and a green bell pepper because that was an option. They were all the same price, and I thought it would be fun to just bring in a little bit more color. I'm going to dice half of it to go in with the esquites, just to bring some sweetness there and some color. All right, 2 pints of washed blackberries. I'm gonna go in with about a 1/4 cup of sugar so that they can macerate. And macerate really just means like to sit with sugar so that the juices can be pulled out. This is a great way to improve berries that might not be quite as sweet as you would like them. It will really just intensify the flavor and give them kind of their own sauce. So these are going to sit aside. All right, the rest of my peppers are getting cut into strips for the fajita veg. Going like between a 1/2 inch and an inch thick. I'm not being precious about these. I think my favorite bell pepper color is orange. I think that they're the sweetest. I don't know if there's anything proven about that. All right, so I've got 5 onions left. I'm gonna do 1 onion each for the pico and the guac that I'm gonna mince pretty finely and then run under some water to remove some of the bite from them. Next onion, I'm going to chop slightly less finely for the esquites. This is gonna be raw as well, so I'm also gonna run them under some water because these are some strong ass red onions. In fact, I'm gonna be real lazy with this dice because I wanna see the colors. I wanna see the chunks of purple in there. And then these last 3 peppers, I'm just gonna cut into wide strips to go with the sauteed fajita veggies. All right, I'm back after a brief break. My camera overheated, so I had to put it in the fridge. Really, all you missed was me chopping the rest of my vegetables so that I could come over and like really hit the ground running with the rest of the cooking. The rice is done, the beans are done. This is probably where I would leave things the night before. Excuse me. That's probably the prep that I would do the night before and then come in before people show up, do some of the like real-time cooking. So I'm gonna start by crisping up that other tube of chorizo in a hot pan, which I'm then gonna cook all my fajita veggies in. Now what we really want is all of that fat that rendered to cook our fajita veggies in. And go in with all of our corn. Now I'm really just trying to get some good color on the corn. I don't want to completely cook it all through. Going right in with our fajita veg. Start with the onion. Bit of salt. we go, a little more cumin, a little more chili powder. You know what, in retrospect, I think I could have cut these up a little bit smaller, but they'll be fine, they'll be good. They'll release a lot of moisture. I'm purposefully not salting them until they come off the heat. I'm gonna start with about, is that like a third of a cup sour cream? Oh, our diced and washed red onion, some chili powder. I'm gonna start with the juice of half a lime and go from there. I'm also gonna crumble in about a quarter of our queso fresco. And a good pinch of cilantro. Gonna go in with a little bit more salt and the rest of that juice. And this will also sit aside to hang out. Look at this. These are some washed cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna quarter these for the pico. Now, if you don't feel like chopping all of these, you could either go for a bigger tomato, which are easier to cut, or you could just make this into salsa rather than pico. If I was doing salsa, I would like to probably I would broil most things just to add in some extra smokiness and flavor. But that would be incredibly delicious. My grocery store sells house-made salsas that are really pretty good. Same thing with pico de gallo, or same thing with guacamole. If you really don't feel like making it, if this is a weeknight thing. But for how quick they are, I think the payoff is really there. All right, tomatoes are chopped. I forgot to dice up some jalapeno while I was dicing up the rest of my veg. So I'm going to do that now. Half of it is going to go in my pico. The other half will go in my guacamole. And I'm gonna go for a pretty fine dice because I don't want it to have like any overwhelming bites. Although I don't think this one is all that spicy. No, it's really not. But my partner really does not handle spice well. So I wanna be cognizant of that. Here we go, get that in there. Chop up the other half real quick. What's that howling? Okay. Whew. All right, let's get this diced. So to the pico, going in with some salt, pinch of cilantro. I'm gonna start with the juice of half a lime. A little bit of that washed red onion. Well, half of that washed red onion because the other half is going in the the guacamole. All right, and let this sit for a bit and then we'll taste it before we serve it. Now, I kind of wish I had done these earlier, but let's chop up the tortillas now to fry. Now, if you're from Chicago, you know that El Milagro tortillas are the GOAT. They are the best store-bought tortillas that you can get. They are made locally. I don't know if you can get them anywhere else, but if you see them, yeah, go for it. All right, I'm gonna cut these into 8s because that's the size that I would like. Quarters are a little too big. So there's all of these. And I'm gonna get the mortar and pestle out. I wanna make a little bit of like a spice rub to put on the, not spice rub, I wanna make some like seasoned salt to sprinkle onto the chips when they come out. So I'm gonna go with a good bit of salt. I'm gonna do like a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio of salt, chili powder, and cumin. But I want my salt to be pretty fine, so that's why I'm putting it in the mortar and pestle, just to grind it up a bit more. All right, as soon as those come out of the fryer, they will get hit with that salt. We are quickly approaching the end, and I am running out of steam. So I'm glad that I'm almost done. The last thing to make is the guacamole. I do not like a chunky guacamole. I frankly barely like avocado. It is not something that I reach for often. I like the texture, I do not like the taste. So, I'm taking the avocado, the very ripe avocado, right into a bowl, and I am going to thoroughly mash it. I'm also going to add a good bit of this leftover seasoning that I didn't put on the chips. I feel like that'll bring a nice flavor to the guac. Full transparency, I am just cooking for my partner and I tonight, so I'm not going to do the 4 full avocados, but take what I'm doing here and double it if you are making it for 8 people. All right, mashing, mixing that spice in. I'm gonna go in with the rest of these onions, these washed diced onions. A bit of cilantro, not a lot, because like I said before, I don't like cilantro really. And good bit of lime juice. Add a little bit more salt too, because that was not a particularly salty dip or spread. I will say the color is a little off because of the chili powder, but you know what? All that matters is the taste. All right, so we've got our appetizer. We've got fresh fried tortilla chips with homemade pico and homemade guac. We have our stewed black beans, which smell incredible. We've got our fajita veggies. We've got our crisp chorizo, our queso fresco, some cilantro. There's still a lime left. We can cut up and serve that as wedges. We've got our last pack of corn tortillas. So what I would do right before serving, you're gonna wanna char these up on your, if you have a gas stove, otherwise warm them up in a frying pan. Get them really nice and pliable. We've got our cilantro lime rice. We've got sour cream. We have our arroz con leche with some still macerating blackberries. All right, I've got everything out. So the way that I would suggest you prep this, and I will have my full prep instructions in the Substack post below. The day before, you're gonna make your beans, you're gonna make your arroz con leche, you're gonna make your pico. You can also chop your veggies if you want to. And then the day of, you're gonna reheat your beans, make your guac. Oh, also the night before, you're gonna fry your chips. And then the day of, all you need to do is reheat your beans, crisp up the chorizo if you're using it, make your guac right before people arrive because it starts to brown really quickly. And as people are arriving, I would start the rice and cook off your fajita veg. That way, everything is warm. The things that need to be fresh are fresh, and you can maximize your time with your friends. If you got anything out of this video, be sure to give it a like. And if this inspired you to entertain, be sure to subscribe to see more $40 dinner for 8. If there's any specific cuisine or meal you would like to see in this series, let me know in the comments down below. I want to do a brunch. I want to do some a grill out. I'm gonna do all kinds of cuisines and meals in this series. So let me know down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.